time speaking with her last time, and I'm happy to say that she is back and has some news, some things that have happened to her since last we spoke. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to our podcast, Christine Dixon. Hello, Christine.
Good morning. Oh, thank you so much for having me back. It is truly an honor. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. For those of you who are regular viewers of and/or listeners to our podcast, I'm flying solo today. Our CTO Harv Alako could not join us today, but we're going to press on, and we hope to have a great show today. So I know the thing that I want to start with, because I'm sure, like I said, the last time you were here, you know, got all sorts of comments and views on, particularly on YouTube. Um, People who are either familiar with you or seen you and loved you, but you've had some interesting things happen to you since last we spoke. Most notably, you are in a Nike commercial with Meg the Stallion. Um, uh, uh, Please tell us how that came about.
Really, really long story short, I didn't even share this part. Actually, I won't get into it, but anyway. So I was sitting at my brother's table. It was approximately 12:15 in the morning, Eastern time, and my phone rings. And I'm like, oh, this is a California area code. So I pick it up. Chris Dixon. Hi, this is Nike. We saw footage of you, and we would like to put you in a commercial with Megan the Stallion. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, sounds great. I said, please don't call again. I just knew it was a spam call or a prank call. And so she's like, no, wait, please, no, really, no, this is legit. Please do not hang up. And no, yeah, this is legitimate. We saw video footage of you, and we would like you to be featured in a Nike commercial starring Megan Thee Stallion. So I'm like, okay. Like, I still didn't believe her. And then they said, we need you in Larchmont, California in the next 10 hours to take a COVID test. I was on the East Coast. So I'm like, well, there's going to be a little hiccup in the plans because I'm currently on the East Coast. And she said, you're not in California right now? I said, no, I arrived yesterday. And they were like, oh, we'll call you back in 2 minutes. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I hang up and my brother walks in and he's like, oh, who was that? I said, some prank caller from Nike. They said, oh, people are such losers. I was like, yeah. So then exactly 2 minutes later, my phone rings again. Chris Dixon, hi, it's me again. Yes. So we're gonna fly you out. Do you have a place to stay? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll stay in a hostel. Are you sure? Yeah, I'll stay in a hostel. Are you sure? Oh yeah, sure. So she said, okay, text me your email address so I can loop in the rest of the team. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm like, she's really going far with this, this prank. So I use my other cell phone and I text her my email address. And not even 2 minutes later, there was the entire team attached, CC'd on that email. And so all my details, and I get a text message from the plane saying, here's your confirmation for your flight. And I'm like, wow, this is a pretty elaborate prank, but it's on their dime. So whatever. Hey, I'll stay if they want to play, So anyway, long story short, they flew me out first class. And when I was walking through LAX, I'm still thinking this is like a prank. So as I'm walking through LAX, I'm like, Nike's really, whoever this is that called me, they're really going far with this prank. So as I'm walking through, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even know where I'm going. They said Larchmont, California, but how am I going to get there? Am I supposed to, take care of take an Uber, do my own rental, whatever. So as I'm walking through, I go down the escalator in LAX, the Los Angeles airport, and I see all these men dressed in black holding different, name signs in their hands. And then one gentleman Howard, he had a big sign in his hand and it said Christine Dixon. And I went, oh my gosh, that's me! That's me! That's me! And I just started squealing like a little piglet. And I'm pointing to him and then they're all laughing. And I'm like, me, I'm Chris. And he was like, I figured that before you started speaking that it was you. We hit it off right away. He was amazing. He took me to for the COVID test and everything. And then Nike put me up at the number 4 hotel in the world on the Sunset Boulevard Strip. I think One West Hollywood Hotel or One Hotel West Hollywood, something like that. But it was fabulous, darling. And then yeah, I had the chauffeur for the week and took me to set and waited for me on set to finish shooting every day and took me back to the hotel and then, they flew me back east first class and it was so surreal.
Now that is, and by the way, everyone, we're going to have whether you're listening to us on the audio version of our podcast, or if you see us on Facebook or YouTube, I'll have a link to the Nike commercial so that you can see it. And Christine speaks. 24 seconds into it that you'll see her and she looks a little different than the way she looked the first time when she appeared. Yes, she has those glasses on.
These are
So
my signature. So you'll see me wearing these in the Nike video.
yes, so
Their
look for that.
prescription.
And well, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
quite the achievement, and
Thank you.
it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with you is because it's quite your life so far as it has unfolded is quite the inspirational story,
Thank
from
you.
how you got involved with and just to catch some members of our audience up. Now you may remember when we spoke to Christine the first time. So Christine does this one woman show for Harriet Tubman. And yeah, I definitely, if you have a chance to see it, if she's playing in your city, by the way, do you have like a list of like a website or something that people can go to when you're going to be performing this play?
I do have a website, www.harriettubman herself, Harriet Tubman, HERSELF.com. However, with COVID and everything and the list of shows, a lot of them, let's say if they meet me on a Saturday, they want me either Sunday or Monday. So
Mm.
then it's like, well, I don't really want to put the dates up on the website because it's within 24 to 48 hours. So the 42 shows that I've had during COVID, none of them have gone up on the website.
Okay, yeah, I guess people are playing it, by ear, seeing what the situation is like on the ground. I can imagine. But the point I was making, if you have a chance to see the show, people, I would, highly recommend you go and do that. But from this show, it's amazing the opportunities that it seems to be bringing your way. Now we talked a little bit about this before we were taping this, and I know it's probably impossible to predict because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have predicted you would have been in a Nike commercial.
No,
Um,
sir. No.
so what do you think is what's next for you? What would you like to see happen?
What would I like to see happen? More commercials. Yeah, I like commercials. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I love having a chauffeur. I love the Cadillac Escalade limousines and I love flying first class. I can't go back. I can't go back to coach after this.
Now,
Um,
you may not get that for every single commercial.
no, it's
Just
okay. Well, no, I mean, yeah, well, if I'm local, if I'm on the West Coast, they're not going to fly me out first, but they'll provide you with, the chauffeur and everything. Um, and when I do my the international shows. The African shows, I believe, I'm 99% sure they're going to bring me out first class. But the Alaskan show, it's okay. I will fly myself out first class. So I'm okay with that, darling. Um, I don't really know what's next. I'm kind of a whatever happens, wherever the wind blows me kind of gal. Um, and it's worked up to this point. As you know, my contract was only for 4 shows, and a week ago was my 630th show, my 625th, 24th standing ovation. So I don't know.
Nice.
I just go with the flow. I just keep doing the work. I just keep adding to Harriet Tubman, and I just keep on trying to be better than I was my last show. But I want to do more commercials. That was fun. And the food, the crafty on set is really tasty. So I definitely want to do more commercials.
Well, hopefully, people will have an opportunity to see your work and, and book you for some more commercials. And we wish you the best of luck
Thank you.
out there.
Thank
So
you.
let me let me ask you this question in terms of just thinking more broadly about acting. And I know the last time, I got the perfect question to start with. So the last time we spoke, you didn't consider yourself an actor. And so I wanted to check in and see, do you still feel the same way?
Yes, Greg, I do. I still do not consider myself an actress, darling. I know how to act up. I know how to act a fool. Yes, I have phenomenal memory. I don't know. I just like, even though I'm not currently, well, I mean, I did sing. I performed last week in Oklahoma. I did Ave Maria. So, that was opera. So I was able to kind of get back to my roots a week ago. So that was pretty sweet. Um, but no, I mean, I'm just an entertainer. Actually, I'm an edutainer. I educate you as I entertain you, darling. So
An
I'm an
edu
edutainer.
an edutainer. Okay, I like
Yes.
that one.
So I'm not an
Um,
actress. I'm an entertainer.
okay. And so what would you, in terms of, because there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of letting people know about Harriet Tubman's story and her significance um, to the cause of the the freedom movement, the Civil War effort. Um, what what do you want to see happen in terms of um, you know how can you help spread this message more, or what more would you like to see be done? I hope that made sense.
Hmm. I guess hmm, there are like a few questions in there. What more would I like to see be done? I mean, Harriet Tubman has a huge following around the world, which is phenomenal. I guess what instead of people focusing mainly on Black history in this country, like the month of February, like our history is an everyday thing. So just not just confining our history to February. And people were, irate at the time because they were like, wait a minute, you gave us the shortest month of the year. However, yes, that is true. However, the main reason why February was given to us as Black History Month, which started out as a week, and thanks to Carter G. Woodson, it was extended into 1 month. And with that being said, February was chosen because Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass are both born in the month of February. So that is why February was given to us. If those gentlemen were both born in the month of December, Black History Month would be in December or any other month, which has 31 days. So, and but yeah, it's an ongoing everyday education. It's not just when I feel like it or I'll deal with the blacks when I feel like it. I'll deal with the African Americans when I feel like it. And like Malcolm X said, until we are acknowledged as citizens, we will always have to keep marching, unfortunately.
Very
You
true.
know?
And yeah, and you know what I'm about in terms of the role of the media. And this is why I want to make these conversations, commonplace. That, it's not something that's a specialty or a novelty. This is part of American history. And that's a key point. It's not just, quote unquote, Black history. This is American history. I'm happy to see her recent acknowledgement, and I learned some things myself of what she did during the Civil War.
Yeah.
Um,
The Military Hall of Fame.
yes,
She
she
was
was inducted,
inducted into that. Hmm.
and I mentioned that last time, and I definitely think it's worth mentioning again for people who are curious. They should go out and do some reading on her and her contributions to making this country what it is today.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things I forgot what I was watching. It was something on the suffragette movement. And I have another friend. One of these days, I got to have the two of you meet. I think that would be an interesting conversation. So she's a filmmaker, but she's focusing on the suffrage movement. And as you probably know, um, while Harriet Tubman was kind of invited to be a part of that movement, it was kind of like a shut up and dribble kind of moment where,
Yeah.
not where we want you to be prominent and speak at our events or things like that. How important were people like Harriet Tubman to the suffragette movement? And can you talk to us a little bit about that? Perhaps I know I'm throwing a little bit of a curveball at you, but I want to see if you had any thoughts on that.
Definitely, yes. No, it's okay. I'm great with curveballs, so don't worry about it. So when people hear about the suffragette movement, they mainly think about Susan B. Anthony, who we know did not like people who look like us, and that is a fact. However, one of the women who was the first woman to ever speak publicly, which was 3 years before we even knew about Susan B. Anthony, was Lucy Stone. However, Lucy Stone does not get credit. At a meeting, Lucy Stone mentioned that, in addition to, the white men and the women like having their rights and everything, when she brought up the African American women, Susan B. Anthony, they had Lucy Stone physically thrown out of the meeting that day. So that's
Mm,
why even till this day, mainly hardly anyone really knows about the history of Lucy Stone. And yes, Harriet Tubman spoke in Boston regarding the suffragette movement. And I was reading how, she didn't have, she was missing a lot of teeth, unfortunately, Harriet Tubman, as were many of our other ancestors, unfortunately. And, she spoke, and her daughter, Gertrude, was there. She was approximately 7 or 8 years old at the time. And the movement didn't really include us, as we know. That's why I love, um, oh, her name slips me now. Uh, but yeah, it was, the womanist movement. They had the feminist movement. We had the womanist movement. Um, Not Alice Walker. Uh, oh, her name was the Afro. I don't know. I can't believe her name is slipping me now. But yes, thanks to her, we had the womanist movement because we were not allowed to
right.
be part of the feminist movement. Yes, we were women, but still considered second class citizens. The Constitution states that we're three-fifths of a person, so that's why to this day we're still not looked, upon as citizens, like I previously stated, you know? So we definitely, we just have to keep educating ourselves, reach one, teach one,
Yeah.
educating our children. The mother's the first teacher in the home. And so with me, I feel like this is my mission. And meeting Harriet Tubman's family and a great grandniece, Pauline Johnson. I'll never forget when she squeezed my hand and was telling me how much she loves what I do and just all the different places I go, the people that I meet, they tell me, this is your life's work. This is your life's work. And
Well,
so I take it seriously. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, it's fine.
It's definitely a calling, and I would say a higher calling, because you're helping to extend Harriet Tubman's legacy, and it's important that we don't forget about what happened and how she and the people that she assisted, how they persevered. So it's we thank you for doing this work and for sharing that with us. I know it's as I've been talking to various people of color and however they are pursuing what they see as their mission. But part of that mission is there's also a certain amount of personal sacrifice that has to happen. So, and people see the end result, but they don't see the work that goes into making it happen. And so that's why one of the reasons why I want to use this forum to talk to people like yourselves and to say, maybe, to kind of shed a little light so people know that, hey, yeah, you saw a great show, but a lot went into getting that great show to you. And we shouldn't take it for granted, that this is an easy thing to do. There's lots of personal sacrifices in there. So this is my way kind of saying thank you and paying a little bit back to all of you who go out there and who are trying to make our world a better place. Again, we're thrilled to have you on our podcast and to let more people know about your work. But
Thank you.
I don't want to get too sad and sentimental.
That makes
um,
me cry.
but so since we last spoke, and I won't ask you like how many different places you've been, because I know the list is long. Um,
16.
so she has that number right on it.
I already know. 16 states since we last
Six,
spoke.
16 states. Wow. Um, Is there anything that you're seeing now when you're doing these shows that surprise you? Like the people, the types of people that are showing up, or are you seeing anything different? Or has your show, or even in the age of COVID, are there differences in the audiences, or does it look about the same to you?
Yeah. Uh, no, not really looks about the same. Uh, those 42 COVID shows, predominantly white people were there, which is awesome. So I'm finding now that a lot of the white people I come across are like, wait, can you tell me more? Like, I know the Q&A is done, the show is over. Sit here, can we just kind of like have a powwow and discuss? I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's talk about the rape law. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? The rape law, RAPE. What do you mean the rape law? Our government passed the rape law, stating that any white male could have his way sexually with any Negro female, regardless of her age, and it will never be considered rape. And the look on all their faces, and they're just like, their mouths just drop open, like, so then I continue and I would say, so there'll be our 4-year-old ancestor with a 30-year-old white man. and he will do everything sexually to this little girl that a porn star would do. However, because she looks like us, she's and not considered human,
Mm,
unfortunately. Um, it's not rape. It's
mm,
not considered immoral. It's not considered wrong in any sense of the word because she's a Negro female. And by law, you have the right to do anything you want to a Negro female. And then they had the Buck Law, Buck. The Buck Law stated that any white male, the Buck Law stated that any white male, sorry, my phone's overheating,
no problem.
stated that any white male could have his way with any Negro male, period. Period. So, the bounty hunters and, KKK members, they'd be on their horses and, just going through trolloping through the plantations. And I have to say these things with a smile so I do not cry. So I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way. Trust me, the things that I've learned and traveling all the different states and just going into the museums and absorbing the information, I cried every single time. However, in order to teach it to people, I can't always just be breaking down crying. So
Right.
I have to say it with a smile. Even of course it breaks my heart. Um, but anyway, so the Buck Law stated that, yeah, so the KKK members, the bounty hunters, the sheriffs at 12 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, they would kick in the door of our ancestors' little huts and shacks wherever they live, and the husband and wife would be there in bed together. The wife would get slapped around. They don't want her. They're not going to rape her. They don't want her. And they would physically grab the man, her husband. She was not allowed to fight back or she would be killed on the spot, gang raped, and then killed on the spot. But they were mainly there for her husband. So the Buck Law protected um, the white men of the day who fantasized about being with a black man. So, yeah, these are actual laws that our government, that Congress actually passed. So, I work with the NYPD, but just I love, studying the laws it's heartbreaking, the atrocities but yeah, but I have to share it with a smile on my face. I have to laugh to keep from crying, which is what Harriet Tubman,
Right.
always said she did, And back to what you previously said regarding which so when I speak with someone in person at a university, a museum, wherever I am, and I'll pitch Harriet Tubman herself to them, and they'll say, "Oh, sweetie, we're nowhere near February. Come back when we're closer to Black History Month." I have gotten that comment. Oh my gosh, seriously, at
Mm,
least 85 times. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. And I always said to them, I'm sorry, come back when it's closer to Black history. Why? Harriet Tubman is American history.
right.
She's international history. You know, Thanks to her, there's in St. Catharines up in Canada, there's a huge like Afro Caribbean population there. So she is not. I will not confine Harriet or any of our ancestors to 1 month when we built this country. Are you kidding me? And I say just that to them. And then I always walk in with my lantern that was given to me by the Whitney Houston Academy. It'll always be like stashed in my little tote bag. And then I say, just give me 2 minutes of your time, 2 to 3 minutes. And then I'll belt out my train and I let me know when you want me to stop, or I'll stop and they'll go, oh no, keep going, keep going. And so that's why, I'm able to perform Harriet Tubman herself all year round, all year round, you
And
know?
and that's the way it should be. Like you said,
Exactly.
it's American history. So just to take a quick little break for those who may not have joined at the top of the podcast, this is the Quintasia podcast, and we're talking today with the wonderful, fabulous, always entertaining Christine Dixon. Um, and right now I'm laughing to keep from crying, to be honest. It's it's so frustrating when I see the reaction to um, critical race, what some like to call critical race theory, and what seems to be not by all, but an effort by some. It's like, well, we don't want to talk about that stuff anymore because it's too awful, and we don't want people to feel bad about themselves. I don't care if you feel bad about it. This We are never, ever, ever going to fix this problem until there is acknowledgement. That is the first step that must happen. There must be an acknowledgement that laws like this were on the books. They were passed by Congress. Um, and I won't go into a litany of other things that the wealth gap that we see today was intentional. It's
Yes.
not accidental. It
No.
is planned, and
Yeah.
I wasn't a reparationist until this year, but after now learning what I have learned, yeah, saying you're sorry is not going to cut it. There's It has to be fixed, and you've seen examples like in the town in California where property, like a vacation property, was taken away from a
Yeah.
black family,
Hmm.
and finally, the city is trying to right that wrong by returning the land to the black family. But even then, they're
With
descendants.
stipulations. There's still stipulations when they
Ah,
return the land.
okay. Well, tell me about that. Do you know about the stipulate? Because I
Well,
didn't.
allegedly, that some of the stipulations are you cannot build a business on this property. So basically, you cannot do anything that will help you pick yourself up by your bootstraps. So we'll
I
give
did
you
not
back
know
your
that.
land. We'll give you back your land, but don't you think for a second that we're going to let you be a part of the American dream? You know, you're still not American. Don't you Negroes forget it? You
Hmm.
know.
Well, well, wow, that would be disturbing, um, particularly if the governor had anything to do with that, because I believe that he was a person that was interested in social justice, but um, we shall see. Um, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There is, and again, a reckoning of our history, and it's awful, it's terrible, but until you acknowledge that, yep, this was done, this is why. Um, and I think what happens, particularly, well, probably not just here, but around the world, is yes, there is personal accountability, you know, um, and it's kind of like, where do you? If you believe in that narrative of personal accountability, then how do you then match that with, well, how do we fix this problem? How do we uh, I'm going to use the word carte blanche. It's not, from my view, the right word to use, but in the context of how I believe other people might be viewing this, like if you were to give reparations, that would be carte blanche, just giving it to a wholesale swath of people, simply based off of some physical characteristics, in this case their racial makeup, which of course many people would object to, because this is, well, why should but on the flip side of that, I don't think people fully understand how much they benefited if they were white. And there's people who say, "Well, I didn't have anybody helping me. I built myself up, and picked myself up by my own bootstraps." Not quite. If you look at you had certain built-in advantages that helped you get to that. So it wasn't that you did it all by yourself. You were in a system that favored you. And I know there's people out there say, "Well, we're tired of talking about it." Well, I can tell you, as a person of color, no one is more tired of talking about it than us. But the
It's
problem,
exhausting.
it's a, it's absolutely exhausting, and we would love never to have to talk. Well, we don't want to forget about it because we can't forget that this happened. But it would be great if we could, And they said, "Well, why don't you just get over it and move on?" I can't tell you how infuriating that comment is, because when I walk down the street as a black man, if I get pulled over or stopped by a policeman, is that person letting me just get on with my life? If I'm pulled over for driving while black or something like that, um, we're not allowed to just move on. That's the problem. Um, and we definitely need, and that's why I think people like yourselves, are hugely important to this effort. And I like what you said, an edutainer, and that's what we need to do. Um, but we'll pivot now to. I said we were going to pivot before, and I did. I pivoted into something even more.
Yeah. But I just quickly want to say, I forgot who said it, but those who, fail to learn their past are doomed to repeat it,
Yes,
so we must learn, we must teach ourselves, educate ourselves. That's our responsibility.
yes,
And regarding, there were the $5 Indians, which were the white people who came here, and the government gave them the Native Americans land, and they gave them our land, and they only charged them $5 for it. So they had the land already. So, I mean, the assets, everything, I mean, they were already, what, 300 years ahead of us, over 400 years actually ahead of us. If the first slave ship, it was in the 1500s when they docked in Manhattan with 11 enslaved people on it. So, and if they could have been paid, they would have been paid $496 a year in 1741 in Manhattan. If you were allowed to pay your enslaved in England and the United States of America, where it was illegal to pay your enslaved. But if you were to pay them, they would have been making $496,000 a year in 1741, which today would be, I don't know, like 300, maybe $250 million today, 300
I,
million approximately. Yeah.
I don't know the exact numbers, but we know it certainly would. It would have gone along. What we don't have a lot of in our community is generational wealth, and that's how by the ability to have a home, because for most people, that the home is their most, their biggest asset that they
Yeah, the
have.
equity and yes.
And that's an asset that can be passed down
Yes.
to succeeding
Generation to
generations.
generation, yes.
Right. And it's an asset. It's that people use to borrow against when they want to start a business
Yeah.
or do other endeavors, because
hmm
again, it tends to be the largest asset that most people own. And then, of course, if you start a business, you've created another asset, and if it succeeds, that too can be passed down. That's also, ownership of that asset or shares in that asset is part of generational wealth, which particularly the African American community has been largely cut out of.
hmm
Um, but well, I keep trying to go to something more positive, but I keep
Sorry. Yes.
no,
Let's
no, no,
go.
no.
Let's go.
This is I go where the conversation takes me, and
Same here.
I feel that we it wasn't where I intended to go, but when you s- when you s- when you started talking about these things, I said, wow, this is a deeper show than I had originally planned. So I think it's important that we give it some light. Um,
Yeah.
so after you do your performance and they ask you to um, stick around and educate them some more about Harriet Tubman and things like that. Have you ever had an opportunity to catch up with someone, sometime later to see what the impact was? Did anything that they learned change their life or their perspective, or, what was the impact? Have you had that moment yet?
I've had it. Yes, I've had it a lot of times. It's funny. A couple of them are now teachers. So they were going to be artists, either painters or what was the other one? Yeah, like painting and ceramic bowls and, fine arts and things like that. And they said after seeing my show, they now want to be teachers. And then two other people, I saw them like 2 years later, they're now police officers. Had no intent, like no intention of being an officer, despised police officers. And they said after seeing my show, and hearing about how the bounty hunters and like, the KKK, like, they're the ones who started law enforcement in the United States of America. They made it a legal organization. And so they said they wanted to learn more. So two of them are now police officers. One of them is still debating should they be an attorney or not. So I know I have an impact. Harriet has an impact on people.
Well, that's absolutely great to hear. And I don't see how you could, come in contact with this information and not be, affected by it. So that's good. Um, where, if you, I want to revisit this idea of a Harriet Tubman movie. So this is kind of my plug out there for any of my producer friends who might be considering a Harriet Tubman movie. Um, we sort of talked about this last time, but I think it's worth revisiting. So of all the movies, and I don't know, have I know you've seen some of them. I don't know if you've seen all of the movies that they've done about Harriet Tubman.
I have, yes.
What would you say is has still yet to be told or be told correctly?
I feel what kind of needs to be told and touched upon that I have yet to see. Um, Harriet Tubman, in her own way, she was a metaphysicist, and she didn't know it at the time, of course, but I mean, we all know that thoughts become things. However, feeling, actually feeling as if you already have what you want, that's how we manifest things so much faster. So when Harriet Tubman would be there, in the shack, in the corner, even on the plantation working, just closing her eyes and just envisioning with her entire mind, body, and spirit that she was freed. And then having that woman who crosses her path one day at 13, baby, anytime. And, anytime you ever need to get away, I will show you an underground railroad that you can take to freedom. So it's like the universe put exactly what Harriet Tubman needed and wanted in her path. However, I feel it happened so quickly because of the simple fact that all the feeling that Harriet Tubman put behind it. And then after, like many universities studying the laws of attraction and things like that, they realized it's not just saying something. Yes, our words hold power, they carry weight. We can speak life or death over our situations. However, to manifest it faster, feeling needs to be behind it, acting as if you already have it and staying in that state of mind. I feel that needs to be, shown more, even though Harriet really wasn't aware of it at the time. Her more sensitive and vulnerable side, her more feminine side. Yes, she was shrewd. Yes, she was amazing. Uh, she was tenacious. She was ambitious. However, she was still a girl who just she wanted her freedom, and then she still wanted to be loved. I mean, John Tubman was the love of her life. She met him at 24 years old. Captain John Brown and Frederick Douglass, her friends, they said that she had an amazing sense of humor. Harriet Tubman was like a little silly, like she loved to laugh. But when you hear of Harriet, it's like, oh, she was a bad mamma jamma, carrying her gun and rocking her bandanas through the plantation, or freeing folks and just like creeping up on people. Yes, she did do all of that. However, she was um she was a lot like me, Dolly. Like just a great sense of humor, but you don't really see that. And even her family told me the way that you showed her sense of humor, Chris. And yeah, I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more of, she was an entrepreneur. She was, when she had very little money, which was most of her life, unfortunately, she she would sell jams, like jelly and jams in jars and dried fruit, to make money and everything. And she too, she achieved the American dream, being a homeowner, right? She purchased her home after the Civil War, ended up in Auburn, New York, 180 South Street. That's where I had the honor of meeting her family. And I said this before about, there was a singer named Aaliyah who died in a plane crash, unfortunately. Her aunt, her mother's sister, Carolyn Horton, reached out and was like, we'd like to bring you up to the Harriet Tubman home, and gave me an amazing tour of that. Then we went to her tombstone at Fort Hill Cemetery, where she was laid to rest on the 10th of March, 1913, at the tender age of 93 years old. So, yes, she was shrewd, but she still had a soft, sensitive side to her. She was very charming, and no military expertise. Went down in history, as the first American woman to lead a successful raid on the Combahee River, June 2nd, 1863. No military expertise whatsoever. But her faith in the universe, her faith in the God within was just that strong and amazing. And in her words, she said, I ventured only where God sent me. And she said, like, this will not be my life. But she had so much feeling and passion behind it that the universe just kept putting the right people at the right time with the right finances in her path. So when I look at my life and, being on the road every day since COVID began, by myself, 33 states, 510 cities and towns, 90 hotels and casinos. Um, it's just, I will not worry about where I will sleep. I will not worry about money. Like, look how Harriet Tubman was guided and cared for back in the 1800s. No social media, no car. You know what I mean? So I I am my ancestors' greatest dream, and I do not take that lightly.
Boy, that's a powerful statement there. I am my ancestors' greatest dream.
Oh, it
And
just made me cry. I make myself cry all the time, honey. But yeah,
so,
I believe that I'm my ancestors' greatest dream.
and just so people, I'm going to do two things that I didn't do last time. So, first, I'm going to, and again, I encourage you. I know many of you listen to the podcast, but if you want to see the video portion of this, please check out our podcast episode on YouTube and or Facebook, and you'll be able to see what we're about to show next. So, first, I want to play a clip from and this is how I met. Do you prefer Chris or Christine? I never
Chris,
asked
because
you
my
for
mother
Chris.
named me Christiane, so I prefer Chris.
So I met Chris at when I was looking for a short film and I came across this short film Era. And I did not last time actually show a clip from the film. So we will do that now. And then after the clip of Era, thanks to Miss Chris here. We're also going to play a clip from her show, Harriet Tubman. So we will resume on the other side, as they say in the biz.
I'm sorry. Next time I'll make it clearer for you.
Is all this visions? What does this all mean? Is this a sign from the Lord?
I know all of this confuses you, and I'll explain everything to you when the time is right. Right now, I'm excited to have you here. I have so many questions for you.
Excited?
Mrs. Harriet, I idolize you. When I was able to meet someone from the past, you were the first person that popped in my head. No questions asked.
You had visions too? Of me?
Yes. Yes, I did. Of you and others. My first question for you, if I may ask, is how do you feel saving so many people's lives and being a hero?
I'm no hero, man. Those people deserve to be as free as I was. The day I realized I was free for the first time, I had feelings that no words could describe, man. For sunshine, my train. My train is headed for sunshine, my train. My passengers had enough of sadness. They're going where they will find some gladness. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom, my train. And finally, I was a liberator of thousands of slaves throughout the South. So now, I heard that my parents were in trouble. So it was time for me to go and get them. You see, my father had been betrayed by a slave whom he had helped escape. And this slave, out of fear, had turned back and told his wife the entire plot. His wife, hoping to win favor with her master, revealed the entire plot to him. So my father was now to be arrested and tried. And I decided to save them the expense of a trial. And I brought them up to Canada. And we spent that first winter in Canada. But because of the cold and because of my mother's suffering and complaining, Lordy, I vowed that one day I would bring them to a much more comfortable home that we could all share. I ended up bringing my parents to 180 South Street, which is located in Auburn, New York. Today, that house still stands. It is a national landmark. It is called the Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged.
Wow.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I hopefully you'll get a chance to see it, but if you only have a chance to listen to it, even then you can hear the power in the performance and know why this show has legs and why so many people are gravitating for it. As always, Chris, it has been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
We continue to wish you Godspeed and eternal guidance in your path. We are excited for you and with you, and we can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gregory, Harv. You were missed today. Thank you, Fantasia Studios, for having me. It's truly been an honor. Thank you.
Pleasure has
Thank you.
been all ours. That's it. That's it for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and I will say bye bye for now.